I don't know. Dez Bryant is a risky player. I mean, can you really rely on him to catch a ball in Lambeau during the playoffs? Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to another episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. It wasn't a catch in 2014, but it is today. But back then, no, he didn't catch it. Get over it, Grossi. And today we are going to be talking about... who in the what now? Oh, Dez Bryant. Before we get to that, I want to do a big shout and thank you to a brand new YouTube member, and that is Good King 205. Thank you very much for your support. It is much appreciated. Now, there has been a resurgence of Dez Bryant news lately, as obviously the NFL has lifted the ban on working out players during this pandemic, so teams are now able to bring people in without the expectation that they are going to be signed. In addition, James Jones on the NFL Network basically came out and said Dez Bryant should go to the Green Bay Packers, he should line up across Davante Adams, and they should wreak havoc together. James Jones also mentioned that, yes, while they insult his route running, he's never really been a great route runner, or maybe his speed is not there, but what is always there is his ball catching ability, just not in 2014 in the divisional round at Lambeau. He said that that trait never goes away, and so he could be a wonderful addition to the Green Bay Packers. I was like, you know what? He makes some decent points. Maybe it wouldn't be the end of the world to bring in a guy like Dez Bryant. And then I woke up from my stupor and was like, wait, that probably isn't a good idea. Let me explain why. Now, Dez Bryant is a three-time Pro Bowler. The guy in 2014 alone had over 1,300 yards, had 16 touchdowns, and then after 2014, things started going downhill pretty quickly. He got a whole bunch of injuries throughout 2015, throughout 2016. He was actually released by the Cowboys and became a free agent in 2018, where the Ravens actually offered him a $30 million contract, in which he turned down because he wanted a prove-it deal. So he went ahead and signed with the New Orleans Saints, and in practice tore his Achilles, and that was the last we ever heard of Dez Bryant. So while he has been posting workout videos and him running routes and whatnot, there are a lot of risks to be associated with Dez Bryant. But Dez Bryant comes with a ton of risks. The guy hasn't actually played a regular season game since 2017, so that's 3 years without playing football. On top of that, there's a ton of injury risks that are associated with him, as he suffered them the last 3 years of his career. On top of that, he has a brand spanking new offense that he would have to learn with the Green Bay Packers in a shortened period of time. And on top of that, his production started going down in those years where he was injured. And even on top of that, in 2017, the guy recorded 12 drops, which is not a really great stat. So at 31 years old, it looks like Dez Bryant is going to try and make his comeback, which we have talked about before. Maybe he can sign with the Ravens. He was tweeting at Lamar Jackson asking how his fade was. But if Dez Bryant does return to the NFL, it is most likely going to be on a 1-year, super duper cheap deal. I would imagine something close to the veteran minimum, because at this point, we don't know what we have with Dez Bryant. Now, when talking about is it going to help the Packers, I'm going to look at this in a couple different ways. I will say, I prefer this question over the Antonio Brown question. But with Dez Bryant, there's no even guarantee that he is going to help the team in the short term, and he's definitely not going to help the team in the long term. We talked about this last week, how if EQ or MVS or Lazard don't step up, we are going to have a void at the wide receiver position for the next Davante Adams when Davante Adams' contract expires. And so Dez Bryant isn't going to fill that void at 31 years old. Now, for the short term, if you're saying, hey, Tom, let's just sign him for a year, see what he can do, what have you. Yes, is there a low risk? Absolutely. But on top of that, I can't find myself getting excited about a player who 3 years ago started to look like he was declining and coming back 3 years after not playing football and imagining that he is going to fix our team. So the short-term benefits are honestly not guaranteed. And I think if you were going to go out and get a wide receiver, I would prefer to get somebody who has been actually playing the game in the past 3 years, like a Taylor Gabriel. Yes, if you're going to compare prime Taylor Gabriel and prime Dez Bryant is way out of his league. But at the same time, you don't know what Dez Bryant you are going to get. So for me, If it's a 1-year deal, it's super duper cheap. Fine. I'm not going to get like overly excited about it, but I don't think it's going to help the short-term and long-term future of the Green Bay Packers. So James Jones and I do disagree on that. Because again, I think that they will be fine this year. It's the years after this season that I'm more worried about if we don't have a breakout wide receiver this season. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Would you take a risk on a guy like Dez Bryant, or are you more of like, let's go for Josh Gordon, or are you saying, hey, let's not bring in any wide receiver? Let me know. You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at TomGrossiComedy, all social media you see down below. Check out podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course YouTube. And a big shout and thank you to all the patrons over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy. Tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, we got the Papa Grossi birthday extravaganza live stream starting at 7 p.m. So get your tushies there. We'll have Mike's Hard Lemonade Black Cherry for Papa Grossi, and he'll get this chair. I'll get the wooden chair where there will be splinters in my butt. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.